Donald Trump delivered a speech in Waterloo, Iowa, and it got so weird so fast. And I suggest to you, if you're eating food right now, he's going to say something that will evoke potentially an image that you're not going to want to have while you're eating food. So I'm preparing you for that. Warning, viewer discretion is advised. He's talking about having a better body than Joe Biden. Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. Donald Trump has authoritarian impulses. Donald Trump attempted to overthrow American democracy and also is really insecure and really weird. So here is this from his speech. Then we'll go on to other clips as well. He has seen the beach pics of Biden. Actually, that's what he references. And he's jelly.
He's got a consultant somewhere. This is the worst consultant in politics that thinks he looks good in a bathing suit, right? No, he spends so much time at the beach. You know, how do you do that? And, you know, I have a much better body than him. But I'm not really sure that I want to expose it with the sun blaring down, the sand, the surf, the wind, you know. It's not a pretty sight. And
I refuse, so don't ask me, to comment other than strange. And to add the context that there was this one Fox News cycle, obsessive Fox News cycle, about how Biden went on the beach and they showed footage of him dragging a beach chair and said, oh, he looks so, old while he's doing that or something. And he doesn't look strong while he's pulling his chair. And why does he have his shirt off? Well, why are you filming that? That's my question. Okay, he's on the beach. Leave him alone. But Trump wants you to know that he believes he has a better body than Joe Biden. Okay, moving on to something more serious. He once again talks about his wonderful friendship with Putin and his baseless idea that that friendship would have prevented Russia's invasion of Ukraine and that friendship could stop it immediately whenever he became president, hypothetically, again in 2025 after the 2024 election.
I just said, Vladimir, you and I are friends. We're good friends. But if you go in, we're going to hit real hard. And I can't tell you what I told him because it would be not a nice thing. But he said, no way you would do that. There's no way. I said, way. They go, no way. I just said.
So I've gone through so many times in the past in detail why that talking point is ridiculous. But even just right there, if you had one thing you could say, way, we're going to do this, then why didn't you just call up Biden if you actually cared about people in Ukraine, tell him to tell Putin the same thing, or you call up Putin and say, hey, buddy, that's not my wording, by the way. I mean, that is my particular word, but he said, you and I are friends. So there it is, buddy. He could call him up and say, Biden's going to do that thing that I told you I was going to do. But of course, I'm reasoning with an unreasonable statement because that's not accurate. Putin has shown an intention of aggressing upon, as he did multiple times before this latest invasion, in, yes, Crimea and also Georgia, and wants to expand the Russian empire and bring it back to its Soviet Union glory. That is his long-term goal. And so that was going to happen at some point in time. And when it happened, when it came to Ukraine, the United States needed to strongly support Ukraine, as we're currently doing under the leadership of President Joe Biden. And so speaking in these wishful and hypothetical and meaningless ways to talk about your stance on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, where you just say, as Trump does, I would just end it. Never would happen. Doesn't actually give the voters insight into how you would manage the actual situation that's taking place. Excuse me. And then moving on, he says that this speech was strange all around. He says, China doesn't respect Biden. China respected Trump. And the way he knows that, if you haven't seen this clip, you don't know where I'm going, is they don't call Biden sir. They called me sir.
And you wouldn't be having all the problems that you have right now with China. China's become very hostile. They weren't hostile with me. They weren't hostile with me.
They weren't hostile with me.
They called me sir. They don't call him sir.
So I was using the term respect. He's saying hostility. They are hostile with Biden. They weren't hostile with him, according to Trump, as shown by the usage of sir or the lack of using sir. I have to remind you, don't forget, this is the leading, by a long shot, Republican presidential candidate, meaning he is very, very likely to be, based on how much he's leading in the polls, the nominee for one of the two major parties. We only got two major ones in the most powerful country on the planet for president of that country. That is disturbing. And we deal with him every day, especially me covering him on a daily basis. It's easy to get used to it. Oh, this is normal. It's not normal. It's crazy. And a lot of these clips have been more lighthearted, buffoonish. But this is paired with what is the most important thing, as I said earlier, starting the segment, the authoritarian impulse is the calling for Mark Milley to be executed, the calling for his political opponents to be locked up, and the promise to do that. The fear on the part of Mark Milley that Trump will do that, warning people privately, the calling for the termination of the Constitution, the attempts to overthrow our democratic process to install himself the president, the calls for the lamestream media, as he calls it, to be investigated and gone after, and on it goes. And he is consistently in our face, should not make him normal or any less frightening. And we should mobilize based on what we're witnessing with him to turn out in 2024 and make sure he is never again in the White House. And then to close this segment out, then we'll move in the next segment to another one of his speeches over the weekend. He keeps saying this, making no sense.
It was like that. Face, fingerprints, everything. They had everything. But not for voting. We don't want it for voting. If you buy a loaf of bread, you got to have your ID out. But for voting, you don't. No, it's a horrible thing.
When you buy a loaf of bread, he says, you have to have your ID out. Where? It's so strange. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. It's just so appreciated. Every time someone subscribes, even if I don't know it yet, something positively impacts me. It makes my day a little better. So hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. And there's a link in the description.